I had been wanting to go on a mission trip for some time, but I was definitely hesitant on going out of the country. Um, so I just felt like it was close enough that if something happened, it wasn't too far from home. But I just wanted to kind of get out of the area and just kind of see in other places, like what are they doing? And so it was pretty neat to go and see kind of how they come together, churches, organizations, and just to kind of see how they focus their energies and resources in other places. So I was glad for the opportunity.
Feel like God really spoke out to me. He's like, hey, get out of your comfort zone, do this mission trip. So I don't really have a definitive reason, and I almost didn't do this at first. I don't really see myself going overseas, but I'd always wanted to do something like this. And then when I saw that this year was going to be in Harlan, I got excited, and then I started doubting myself. So then, at the end of the day, I convinced myself, and I'm so glad I did.
So, for me, when I heard about the trip to Kentucky, I've always wanted to take my kids on a mission trip. I went to some when I was a teenager, and it had a pretty good impact on me. And I wanted my kids to experience that. So when I heard that there was a domestic mission trip this year, I talked to David about it, and we decided that was something that we wanted our family to experience. So we signed up.
We watched a few YouTube videos, I know, and we looked at the place that we were there and where we were going, actually. And we noticed that there was a lot of places that didn't have, what they needed or what they wanted, even. And there wasn't a lot of, places that were there, even. Like, we have around here a lot of fast food places, a lot of stores. They didn't have that much. They just had one little area with, Walmart and a couple fast foods, and that was basically it.
I think for this mission trip, it was really cool to be able to just see it all come together. It was really kind of cool just to see the different places that we were going to and kind of just being able to help and tell other people kind of what we were doing for the day. And it was really kind of cool for me to have like the meetings and talk about what we were doing for like the days, and just all the different things coming together was just really cool to watch and see.
Everybody say hi, Porterfield. A little bit more enthusiasm next time, though. Yeah.
Going on the trip, I really expected just to be getting in there and just working, whatever they needed to be done, whether it was making food or, janitorial work, cleaning up yards, whatever it needed to be done. So I was a little, off guard when we got down there, and there was work to be done, but they really wanted us to focus on the people. Just going in and making those connections with people. And I heard multiple times, programs don't change people, people change people. So I really did not expect that to be our main focus. So it was nice though. It had to go a little bit out of the comfort zone, talking to strangers in different settings, but it was good. Definitely not what I expected, but by the end of it, I really enjoyed it.
Well, my expectations... Well, this was the first mission trip I'd ever done, so I really didn't know what to expect at all. It definitely opened my eyes up, just seeing the environment, the community, and the type of people that live there. Like, a lot of homeless people there. So that really opened me up.
Just be in our own country But also, part of the reason I wanted my kids to go is because as a natural developmental thing, not a cut against my kids specifically, but just that sense of entitlement that a lot of tweens and teens have, again, developmentally natural. And so I wanted to show them, Kentucky's not that far from us. This is how other people have to live. So you don't really have it as bad as you think you do. Life's not quite as tough as you think it is. And if you think it's tough now, buddy, just hold on. So that was my thinking. Was I feel like it would hit home more for my kids. Like, this isn't that far from us, and this is other people's reality. And they have to go to this kitchen to get 3 meals a day, and you just have to sit down at the table, and it's all there for you. So just giving them that experience was important.
I was expecting that they were gonna be like more run down. The place that we went to was gonna be like run down, and I thought the people weren't gonna be as nice as they were, but they really were, and the place was really nice to be at.
I definitely did expect what I saw. There is a lot of people that are needy. I know I went to the hotel just right by Christ's Hands, and it was pretty cool to see, because you knock on these different doors to give them food that we prepared, and you see people that come out, and their room either smells like smoke or there are other things. And Toby was not Toby, I can't remember his name, but he told us a story that one time there was this guy that fell asleep with a cigarette in his mouth, and it burned his whole mattress, and it took a big dent out of the hotel, and they're trying to help out people too, I think. There was people at Christ's Hands that would stay there the whole time. Like, it wasn't just, they would leave for lunch and go eat. They were there the whole time. So they were not getting lunch, and you could see that they needed help. Like, they were either had all their stuff there, and they were talking to people that were the same situation that they were in. So there is a lot of people that are there that just in the different situation. But I do think it's cool to see that they do have friends that care about them, and they can talk to other people about what they're dealing with. So I think that's all cool.
Yeah, some expectations were just kind of having like some deep conversations, maybe even with some people, or just getting to know some other people too, that were just around the area, and just to kind of learn about their experiences even just around. And so we get to know a few people. We did do a party at the park Friday for our last day there, and so we got to know a few people there too, which was really cool to watch and see.
Yeah, as we got more into it and I started talking to people more and getting more comfortable, it really was by like the third or fourth day. I remember walking out after I guess we weren't serving, we were doing something. But I saw a gentleman, and I was like, "Hey, Frank, how's it going?" And it was just kind of awesome, because it took him back for a second, because I remembered his name, and just to see kind of his whole demeanor change, because like, here's a stranger who took the time to even learn my name. So it was just really kind of cool to see how just those little connections with people, you could just see it changing their demeanor, and that's what we're called to do, right? Just to show the love. So it was really cool to see that towards the end, like how much more comfortable I was getting with doing that, and just making it a point to remember, those names, not just the faces. And I thought it was really neat by the time I left how much more comfortable I was, because I really didn't expect to get that comfortable in Kentucky.
Topic that rewarded me the most was just, it made me feel good to help people out and minister to people and help people to get closer to God and glorify Him. So that made me feel really good.
I think for me it was, and I I still struggle with how to say it. We call it the E-house. They call it the E-house, but the Elimisha house, where people from all over, women from all over, stay and live in this house after getting out of drug rehabilitation. And the women that run it they were just amazing. They just had a heart for it. They just wanted to help, you know. One of the two kind of founders, her son struggled with addiction. And so, you know, she said a couple of times that, you know, recovery isn't just for the person that was addicted, it's for the whole family. And so she had that unique experience where she walked through that and still goes through different, you know, Al-Anon and those sorts of meetings, and connects with girls there. And some of them come to live at E-House. And there were 4 women there the night that we visited, and they shared their stories. And it was just amazing to see how they turned their lives around, obviously with the help of God, but they did the work. You know, they put the work in. It's a choice to be there. They were saying that, you know, some women only stay 3 weeks. They're very clear about their expectations of, you know, you're going to go to church and you're going to get a job and you're going to go to meetings and you're going to do Bible study. You can come live here, but these are the things that you're going to do. And, you know, some women, you know, they said it's too much Jesus for them. But the ones that were there, I think they had one that was she was 2 months clean, all the way up to I think 6 years. But just hearing their stories and hearing them take responsibility for their part of it, but always giving God the glory for how far they've come, was really impactful to me. So.
It was really nice to hear their story about like what happened to them and how they turned around and changed it all, but they mainly like kept it to God and things.
None of the expectations really changed. It was kind of, I mean, some of my point of views did change, but not the expectations really. I did think that there was going to be a lot of needy, and there was. My point of view that changed was I thought that, you know, everything that you get, even food, is not for granted. There's some people out there that really need food, and it's not like they're, you know, we say that we're starving whenever we're just hungry, and they are actually starving, like losing weight very competitively, like it's just non-stopping. And I feel like we take just hungry and say that's starving, but they are actually starving. So that's a point of view that I look at every day, and I'm like, I really need to think about that. So I try to stop using starving, if I'm being honest.
I think Party at the Park was kind of the most impactful because we only had 2 kids come over. We did invite some other ones, but they kind of just went off and did their own thing. But it was just really cool to just pour into those 2 kids. Even though we didn't have a huge amount of numbers, it was just awesome to just be able to talk with those kids and just see that they had just so much fun and just their excitement, even just for the little while that we were there.
The hardest part for me really wasn't the work. The hardest part for me was honestly listening to some of the testimonies. The one night we went to the Elimisha house, and not gonna cry, and just listening to these women's testimonies, and just the ladies who run the house, just listening to their story and their heart behind it. For me, that was a very emotional night, and I think that was probably more draining than any of the physical labor. You know, you don't really think about maybe things that you've went through or things that you've had family members go through or are going through until you're hearing testimonies from these people who have been in the same place. And I think, honestly, for me, that was the hardest part, just because it was so emotional and just brought up so many things for me. And it was so awesome to hear their testimonies, to see where they had come from and how much that the ladies at the Elimisha house had helped them. but it was emotionally draining, to be honest, for me. But I was glad to have that experience.
Yeah, one really memorable moment, and I'm sure you will or probably have heard this, but Rhonda at Christ's Hands spoke with this lady, and I didn't really get to see much of it, but she really got close to her and she prayed with her, and that made her feel really emotional. And I saw her speaking to her, and that made me feel good.
The one moment that sticks out to me, we had done before we served dinner. There were different ones of us in our group specifically that did a devotion, and one night Rhonda had done a devotion before dinner, and after the devotion, then you start serving the food, and so we're sitting there serving, and I look over, and there's Rhonda talking with one of the people that had come to eat, which is that's out of her comfort zone. That's not, I mean, there are people like me who can just talk to a brick wall, but that was out of her comfort zone. But just sitting there with her, and she told us later, she explained the story a little bit more and told us how to pray for her and all the things that she was going through. But it's just like, you see that, and it's like, that's what this is about. Like, this is why we're here. So that was impactful to me.
Well, I had a lot of funny moments with the kids in the VBS. That was really awesome. Really wish we would have been able to do pictures or videos of that, but because of the policies at the Boys and Girls Club, we weren't able to show any of that. But I think the most memorable part for me was a woman that I spoke to on Tuesday night. Yeah, on Tuesday night at Christ's Hands as we were serving the meal. And I'll just call her A, but I've been praying for her and her family every day. And we talked, and she shared a lot with me. And, if I would just run out on the street and have that conversation with somebody, it might have, made me run away. But, it was just like the Lord was just giving me the words. The Spirit was just moving in me and giving me the words to say to her, because I did not know what to say. But as we prayed, after a short time, she started speaking out the prayer with me. And just some of the things that she was saying and speaking in her prayer was just so profound in her situation. And that just really moved me, and I'm not going to cry. I know the Spirit was working in me there, because I would have never known what to say to this woman. But it was just really awesome to be able to have that experience with her, and then to hear her praying. It was an awesome moment, and something I'll never forget.